So it's not totally your fault, okay? We live in a world where we have a lot of distractions. We have social media, we have substance abuse, we have a lot of addictive behaviors that can entertain us and sedate our bad feelings and bad emotion. That leads to addiction. That leads us to repeat these bad behaviors in a compulsive way in order to anesthetize ourselves, in order to not feel that void and that pain that we feel on a day-to-day basis. But the problem is what I want you to convey with this video, if there is one thing that I want you to understand, is this. The addiction, the bad habit that you have, it's not the problem, all right? The addiction is not the problem, the addiction is the solution. And what do I mean by that? You don't drink, you don't watch porn, you don't scroll endlessly on social media because you just want to. You do it because you have to solve a deeper problem inside of you, okay? The root cause, the likely root cause for you to keep doing these activities and not being able to stop, it's the lack of meaning in your life. As the GOAT Viktor Frankl said once, if a man has no meaning, he will distract himself with pleasure, okay? And what I want to ask to you is, why should you quit? Not really, why should you quit your bad habits? Because it feels good to scroll endlessly. It feels good to eat junk food every day. It feels fucking good to smoke an entire pack of cigarettes. Why should you quit? You need a strong enough reason to do it. And the reason, oh, it's bad for my health, it doesn't really work, okay? It's a shitty reason. You gotta have something that actually makes you say, oh fuck, I need to stop that, otherwise I won't reach what I want to get. Okay? And I don't want to generalize, okay? If you have like intense alcohol addiction or if you have heroin addiction, it's different thing because there are also withdrawal from the body, there are very physical and clinical problems that might come with withdrawal, so that's a different topic. But if we are talking about vices, okay, things like porn addiction, for example, which is strictly psychological. Porn addiction is shown in various studies. I won't cite them to them because you won't read it anyway. But porn addiction is severely associated with lack of meaning in life. And I'm going to tell you a story about myself and how I saw the lack of meaning impacting on my addiction, personal addiction. I was a binge eater. I used to eat a lot of shit food, a lot of junk food in a very short period of time. What I used to do was, I came back home, usually I was kind of drunk, very, very drunk, I came late at home, and the first thing that I was doing was grabbing some milk from the fridge, grabbing some cookies from from where the cookies were, and start to eat as much cookies as I can. And I start to eating cookies, chocolate, the most sugary and high dopamine foods that I can find in my home. And I start to eating them over and over and over again. And I was eating to the point that I felt bad. I felt stomachache. I felt like I needed to puke. All right, it was very, very exaggerated. And I tried to manage my binge eating addiction for a long period of time, but every time that I tried to, for like, make sure that I wasn't reaching for the cookies, make sure that I was coming back home not very late so that wouldn't trigger my binge eating disorder, I still failed. But there was one thing that helped me to manage my binge eating addiction, which was competing in judo. The fact is, in my sport, in order to compete, you gotta be in a certain weight class. So if you're not reaching that certain weight class, you cannot really compete. So for me, it was important to stop binge eating because it would be in the way of me achieving this goal of making the weight and being able to compete in judo. This was the only time where I was able to actually control myself. And I'm a pretty disciplined guy, okay? And I still couldn't control my binge eating disorder. The only way that I could do that was having a goal that that binge eating prevented me to reach. So the thing that I want to convey to you right now is to ask yourself what do you want and pursue that as hard as possible, right? Understand and how being addicted prevents you from reaching this goal. Okay, I'm not saying that this will solve your problem completely, because this is something that needs to be tackled from different direction. You need to have meaning, you need to have a reason for stop doing this behaviors, but you also need to change your environment. You need to likely change your mindset around addiction. You need to more education about what a bad habit is. And if you found useful this kind of content, you can book a one-on-one free call with me where we can look at this stuff, and I will help you for free to manage whatever problem you have right now with bad habits and addiction. So, hope that video was useful. Remember to aim upward as always.